the electrifying drama and passion of Alexandra Fio's new opera, Socrates. Something that really, it's a riveting, dramatic, passionate opera with the humanity, dedication, and critical thinking and drama of Socrates, and even covers his trial. And Alexandra, tell us a little about the story as you go from scene to scene.
Yeah, the beginning of the opera, I'll mix it up with the music. That it was really important for me to, when I started thinking of the beginning of the opera, the overture is something I really thought of, and obviously really hard. I mean, I wanted an overture that was powerful and that would tell a lot about the story from the very beginning. And I have a libretto, so I gotta go story, music, that comes together. You know, that's why you're telling me about the story, and I'm trying to mix it up with music. The tracks on my website, it gives you an idea, but it's not exactly the way it's gonna be in the end. Because if something is exciting and intense, and I can make it even more exciting and intense, I will do it. I will correct it. It's not about fixing, but it's about making it as passionate as possible. Again, because I have a story. So the overture tells you from the very beginning that something bad's going to happen in a way. It's full orchestra. The orchestration is it's very powerful. It is not because of the numbers of instruments I'm using. I'm not saying I'm using 2 harps or things like that, or I'm doubling my brass section, something like that. No, I'm talking about the orchestration being I really thought carefully about my sounds. So my overture from the very beginning tells you in a very dramatic way that something bad is going to happen. I wanted people to really be sitting there and completely concentrated into what's coming. Socrates had a very intense relationship, not good all the time, with his wife, Xantippe. They love each other to death. It was just Socrates' ways that would make Xantippe feel angry and complain all the time to Socrates about things. For example, Socrates was called by kings from other nations, and he was who he was, you know, and a celeb at the time, if you want to say it like that. And Socrates decided just to teach and be who he is, and never really accepted any money for it by people that had money, and that would really make Xantippe angry. And you know, when they had sometimes almost nothing to eat at home, and then as this develops and Socrates keeps talking to the youth and keeps trying to really save souls. In a way, I call it, he was a soul savior. All the enemies, you know, the invasion of Athens by the Spartans come, and there is a famous scene in the opera where the Socrates with his friends are knocking down the walls of Athens, and the Spartans are making fun of it, and there is a very intense dance music there. The Spartans had some dancers dance around the Socrates and his friends, and and like kind of making fun of them. In this act, it was an act of humiliation, having them to knock down their own walls by the Spartans, an act of humiliation by the Spartans. So I wrote a very intense dance scene. Drums come along and woodwinds, and the full orchestra is executing. You can say it like that. And after that, and I'm making a long story short, trying to keep track of the story and how the music develops and the story as well. And then at some point, Socrates has these confrontations with Anytus, his best friend. And Anytus starts telling him, it was a very rich politically and very powerful man, starts telling Socrates to, you know, calm down, don't say things like this, that. I mean, we're talking again, I'll say it again, real life, you know, everyday life here. And then Socrates is not going to change his ways. His wife is telling him, change your ways, you know, accept some money. Don't keep telling kids this. They're blaming you because you're corrupting the young generations. But as he's having trouble with his own people, and in Athens, the Spartans do the invasion, and there is a general, a Spartan general, that kind of simply, he feels the Socrates is who he is. He's a great man, and tries to, you know, treat him differently. But Socrates will not change. He pretty much tells this general, you're a dictator, and you're invading my country. And he keeps going and going and going. When the time of the amnesty comes, Socrates didn't believe in that. It was he called it a fake amnesty. These are the politics trying to make us, the Greeks, do things their way. I'm not going to be part of that. So again, I'm making the long story short. Anytus really, after the death of his son, really make things hard for Socrates. And even there are all kinds of things during the opera. There are arias, duets, there are ensembles, there are choral scenes with the ensemble and the orchestra together. So musically speaking, it's really rich. And Socrates, Anytus has a conversation with Socrates at some point and really try to convince him of giving up his ways, right?
Yeah.
And Socrates says no, plain and simple, and Anytus swears that you will pay, and that's a famous aria that the tenor has, well, not to mention that Xanthippus has an aria and Socrates has his important arias, but at that point the spinto tenor, Anytus, sings a very powerful aria saying, you will pay for the life of my son. From there, they take him to the trial. The trial scene is completely crazy in a way that is totally mean and evil in a way, you know, doing this to their own. Socrates was a Greek citizen, and this was done to him by his own people. Gets on trial, persecuted by Anytus, and goes to jail. And the other part of the program, I talk about the time when Xanthippus goes to jail to tell him to please give up. They gave you a verdict, but you can still escape. You can go to another country. Say, I will never leave Athens. I'm going to die here. She leaves. It's a very dramatic duet, very dramatic scene. And he drinks the hemlock, the cicuta, and walks around and lies down. That was the way they used to do it at the time, and passes away. All that is very dramatic. The music describes everything. The production doesn't take a lot. The production of this opera is very simple, but in terms of lighting, all the stage movements, it is very important that it is complex in a way, but it's very important that it's done properly. So when he's dying towards the end, a lot of the themes of the opera are going to come back. The overture motive theme plays during the trial as well, and also plays in that final scene. He's alone on stage, and he pronounces a few words, men of Athens, and he dies. The lights go down, and there is only one light on top of his head. And then I really let it roll, like I said. Once that light is on his head and he is passing away, I really put everything I had inside on that orchestra, and that's how the opera finishes.
Well, you know, as I was sitting here, not only is your music so penetrating, but your music is really compelling. And I couldn't help but think how many personalities like Socrates are right here at Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So many of the people who I work here with and I love and I adore have an agenda and a mission, and money hasn't got anything to do with their values. They cannot be bought for. I mean, for God's sakes, Gloria, who's sitting in there, she's gonna do active aging, whether there's money in it or not, and she's gonna do the best she can to get the most accomplished seniors in our society to make a contribution on a program like active aging, or the many people who are involved in trying to get decent, affordable housing at rents everyone can afford. You know how they struggle here, or the people in the peace movement, or the people who want to put the right perspective on the Pan-African movement. You know, it's very difficult, and I know I worked with a young man, and a relatively young man, about your age, and Alexandra. He was a hitman and a character actor in Hollywood, and he came here knowing there's no money here, but he wanted to write his own material, and he wanted to produce his own shows. So he said, to hell with being a Hollywood hitman.
Well, that has to do with the message. I mean, you're talking about different topics, but it's exactly the message of this musical drama or opera, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It is doing things, do what you believe in, do your ideas. It's going to take hell, yeah. You might die trying it, yes. But that's my message with music. I do use modern music throughout the opera as well, especially in that scene I was describing when the Athenians are knocking down their walls. But my personal opinion as a composer is that if for 2 hours and 5 minutes you use modern, that's not me. That doesn't come of my soul and my heart. It is, to my personal opinion, it is boring. The music ends up sounding ugly. I think you can categorize as, number one, music that comes out of my soul. That's the main thing. Yeah. But number two, it is a romantic opera that uses modern techniques. And what we've been listening to is mostly, the other parts are the most traditional sections, if you want to call it that, of the opera. But it's a mix. I use modern music to touch, enhance certain areas of the drama. Once that is done, I go to an universal language, which is, how do you express anger? Yes, okay, I'll use some modern music. How you express happiness? Oh, I'll write the most romantic music. But mostly, I find a lot of composers modernly very afraid of using melodies, and if that's what comes out of your soul, it comes out of your soul. That's my technique, that's my personality, and I think expresses feelings very well. It works for me. That's
And you're doing real fine job, because, as I said, I listened to your music twice this night. Good. And I could really feel the passion of what you were trying to express. It's really exciting, and I am convinced as your opera develops and you expose more and more of it publicly, I think it's going to become one of the great operas. Something that is really desperately needed.
That's a great point. It should stay in repertoire. That's a great point, Josh. That's a fantastic point. Mostly after Puccini and Verdi. To me, my personal opinion, the only composer able to place his operas on repertoire. On repertoire meaning that from time to time, in a common basis, you want to call it, is Giancarlo Menotti with his operas. After that, I'm not going to start, I'm not a name dropper or anything like that, but the opera world, and I heard this by very important people in the business, we need to create an opera, at least one that constantly, I'm not saying once every 2 years. Menotti, he did that. The Consul, the Saint of Bleecker Street, Amal and the Night Visitors. These are operas, at least like that, if not more. I mean, I'm looking to really get to people with this message, using music, but putting the opera on repertoire, meaning all theaters around the world.
Yes. Every
single year.
Yes.
Is it going to take a lot of work? Well, I already risked my life to get to this point. So if we're talking about risks...
You've been doing this since 1997.
Even before. So if I got to risk it again, as long as I know I'm doing something that can help other people, open minds, I risk my life. I risked my life before, and that would be another show. And I will risk it again to do that. At least once a year, major theaters, different versions, smaller theaters, but I am planning, if I don't die before I do that, I will go straight and targeted for that. This is a message through powerful music that needs to be in all kinds, not only opera theaters. I'm planning to do a Broadway musical version of it.
Wow.
To put it on Broadway shows. So, not because of me. Yeah. That's the last thing I care about. I don't want anything for myself. I'm so worried about the way humanity is going these days.
Yes.
Even with all the good things we have, that music, most people agree, music is something that really brings people together, no matter if you like rap or jazz or rock and roll or country or opera or classical. And I'm using that tool with this message to put it all over the world. Is it going to happen? I think it's going to happen because it's already in the right track. There are some very important people in the business already taking a look at it, and they want to be part of it. They want to sing it. And again, I'm not going to drop names, but that's not the purpose. But it's kind of when you put something on a river and let it go by itself, that's where it is right now.
Yes, I'm going to quote you. One of the things you said was, the only thing that has really changed in contemporary times is the internet. Everything else,
human mentality is pretty much the same. It's the same judgment. Well, look at the world these days. You know, it's just the way it's going to be. But we cannot sit and, if you are in the laundry business, if you are in Wall Street, if you are in opera, if you are into sports, and there are great people out there doing great things, but we need more people coming together. What I have is music. What I have is the power of my soul. I'm not going to sit down and just watch the whole humanity go down like that. I chose that topic, and my second topic, after I'm done with Socrates, is going to be a musical drama. Sometimes I try not to use musical drama. I don't want people to think of Wagner or anything. Not because that's a bad thing or anything, but we will find the right name for my music, for Socrates, and maybe opera musical drama. But my second work is going to be Jesus Christ. and it's going to be called Jesus Christ. Somebody told me the other day, well, there is a music. Well, that's a musical. That's something else. This is going to be really controversial, and I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, essentially man has not changed much. And there was something I promised I would touch upon.
Right.
I was the manager of the record and CD department of City University store.
Oh, look at that.
And you spent a year running the record department of Tower Records.
That was the opera
and
room.
So on.
We had the best opera room in the whole city.
I remember it. I remember
everybody was there,
room.
but you name it. But you know, for business reasons, that's not anymore.
Yeah, well,
I decided to go on my way after 1997. I started all OMAC Music, and people can go to the websites on the screen. Is OMAC, OMAC music.com. And we also get involved in human rights activities.
I'm going to just ask this one question and drop the subject. You know, there isn't anyone in this city who can live their life without. It's impossible to live your life without walking into a retail store. When are the powers that be gonna make up their mind that people who work in retail stores should make not only a living but a good living? When is that gonna happen? That's my one and only question on the subject. We walk into retail stores every day. We walk into them more often than the doctor, then we go to a lawyer, then we go to anyone else, and yet we pay no attention to the way they're managed or operated. So I'm going to do a program about that sometime in the future. So at this point, I'm going to drop the subject and go back to the great dramatic opera Socrates. And what would you like to say about that?
Well, I like to kind of improvise on the spot. Looking at you right now, I mean, you're excited. And again, this is not because it's my opera. I'm just, that's my goal, what I'm seeing right now. And we talk off the studio many times, and every time we talk about this topic, for that matter, it could be Dr. King, could be Jesus himself, or it could be Gandhi, could be John Lennon, you name it. This excitement is the purpose of this whole idea. To go around the world with this music, and also it's going to help the opera world in a way.
And you and I are building a circle of friends.
Well, that's
and we invite Gloria and John and Danny and Adina and Cassandra, and everyone to be a part of that circle of friends.
And if we can use music to do that, we have a very powerful tool in our hands. I mean, the power of music has been demonstrated throughout the years all over the world. So I think we're doing a good thing. We got to do something, right? But that's the message. See you excited and see people, whatever you're going through out there, whatever problems you have, whatever business you have, music, not this music, or no jazz, or the music you like, use it. Music is therapy. Music gets to your brain and, well, can really lift you up and can really change things around. Children, the purest thing we have in this world, and music, for example. No powerful CEO, no powerful corrupt dictator, president, no money, no power in the world, corruption in the world, can against music, the power of music, and the power of children, and the power of an honest man thinking properly. That's the message right here. All races, all nationalities, and if people have their own tools out there, I encourage them to contact me and get together. And
your website is up there.
The website's up there. Whatever project you have, any kind of business, let's just use the huge power unhuman power of music to try to change things. And
Well,
no, I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, because that's been the history of humanity. But I want to send a huge message to corrupt politicians, to corrupt CEOs, to people that have money and could help so many other people out there.
Amen.
And all they do is help themselves. I want to show them that music is more powerful than them.
amen. And this has been the Josh Volinski Show until an evening or two from now, until next Monday night. But anyway, we have a big job to do. We have to go ahead and do it, because we can't keep going this way. Alex has said that to him again and again. We can't keep up going on in this direction, because this direction has no future, no climate, no children, no love, no song, no music, no nothing.
Yep. And
We
that's
have
what
to
we need.
move in the right direction.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
And no Manhattan Neighborhood Network either.
I'm glad you're on board.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And I want to thank you for coming.
No, thank you,
and coming to
Josh.
the
You're a
ACAP
great man.
meeting yesterday.
Thank you.
Association
That was
of
great.
Cable
I
Access
had a great time.
Producers.
That was
And
great. Fantastic.
Wasn't that exciting? Really,
It was very exciting.
Really. And the most exciting things are yet to come. If only you who are watching become activists and take a part in the kind of world and society and city we desperately need. And time is very short. As you know, you and I can wake up tomorrow morning and the playing field can be very different. It's happened before, and if we don't watch out, it'll happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Great. Fantastic.
Socrates, that's the opera to see.
Thank
That's
you.
the opera to learn. That's the opera to go and see
Thank you. Appreciate it.
at an opera house or a theater nearest you.
And then on Broadway. Yeah.
Yeah, and on Broadway too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, well, we were doing it longer because we'll be